And welcome everybody to our ordinary meeting of Council 5th of September 2024. A very warm welcome to all of our community members who have joined us today for this very important decision. It's lovely to have you here with us. Just a note for everybody that this meeting is being live streamed on Council's Facebook page. And if we could all please stand for our opening karakia. Te taua mai runga, te taua mai raro, te taua mai roto, te taua mai waho, kia tau ai te Māori tū, te Māori ora, ki te katoa, pauie, huie, tai ki e. First up, we have apologies from Councillor McGrath. If I could ask for a mover. Deputy Mayor Brosnan.
Thank you, Mayor Wise. I'd like to move that we do not accept the apology.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Did you wish to speak to that, Deputy Mayor Brosnan?
Yeah, thank you. I think being a leader can be hard. So can the decisions we make. But making hard decisions is what we put our hand up for. It's what our community expect of us, and it's what we're paid for. So the community rightly expect that we show up. I will all day, every day, respect the right of councillors to make a decision, be it the same as mine or not, and to disagree and debate. But what I don't support is non-attendance for the reasons that Councillor McGrath set out in the paper this morning. I reject the notion that this meeting is unsafe, and I will not support accepting his apology.
Just further to the Deputy Mayor, I would say that we have online facilities, and if Councillor McGrath felt that it was unsafe to be here in person, he could attend online and his vote would still be recorded. So for that reason, I second the Deputy Mayor's resolution.
Thank you. Did anyone further wish to speak to this before I put the motion? No, so I put the motion that we do not accept Councillor McGrath's apologies. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Thank you. Abstain from Councillor Mawson. Carried. Do we have any conflicts of interest? Excellent. So we're now moving into the public forum part of our meeting, and we do have some speakers here with us today. So first I would like to invite Te Kaha Hawaii Kirangi and Para Screening from Mana Ahuriri to the front to speak to us, please. Kia ora.
Tēnā tātou. Tuatahi rā, he mihi aroha kia rātou o te whānau pani o te kingitanga. Rātou hoki te whānau o Tainui Waikato, kua whiturangitia tō tātou nei kingi. Ki tō tātou nei kingi, haere atu rā moi maira. Huri kia koutou, o te ao kiko tēnā koutou katoa. Kia koe te kahika, nei rā te mihi ka tika. Kia koutou hoki ngā kai kaunihira, tēnā koutou tāhuri kia koutou. Kua tae mai ki te tautoko te kaupapa whakahirihiro o te wānei, e te whānau tēnā koutou katoa. Ko te kaha Hawaii Kirangi tōku ingoa, aka TK. We've come before you today, not just as representatives of Mana Whenua or the chairperson of Mana Ahuriri, but also as a member of this diverse and vibrant community of Ahuriri that spans cultures, backgrounds, and experiences. Our commitment to supporting the establishment of Māori wards is deeply rooted in the belief that a more inclusive and equitable community benefits us all. Firstly, I want to acknowledge and thank this council for its approach and leadership in addressing this important kaupapa. Your support, not just for Māori wards, but for fostering a deeper partnership with Mana Whenua, is something we do not take for granted. You have shown a willingness to listen, to engage, and to work alongside Mana Whenua, which reflects the strength of the relationship and the partnership we have built over the last few years. Ngā mihi nui kia koutou, kia koe te kahika, tēnā koe. Monday, 17th of November 1851, a vision was laid with the Ahuriri Purchase. At its core, this vision sought to bring Māori and non-Māori through the Crown together to mutually prosper and work as partners for the prosperity of this area, ultimately leading to the establishment of the city, Ahuriri Napier. Historically, this vision has not been fully realised, but Māori Wards brings us closer to that vision. Māori Wards are not about division. It is about enhancing our collective decision-making by bringing forward the unique perspectives of Te Ao Māori to strengthen our governance. When we embrace the richness of Māori culture and values, we create opportunities for innovative solutions, equitable policies, and a more resilient community for everyone. We also want to acknowledge that this journey, especially around Māori Wards, has not been without its challenges. Along the way, we have encountered differing views and concerns, but we must remember that these reflect a past where the voices of Māori were not always heard and our rights were often overlooked. Today, however, we stand united, reaffirming our commitment to our future that embraces and celebrates who we are and who we aspire to be. The decision before you today is not just about representation. It is about upholding the partnership that we have nurtured with the Napier City Council, and partnership based on respect, trust, and a shared vision for the future of our community and our environment. Together, we have worked to ensure that Māori voices are heard and valued at the decision-making table. This kaupapa is another step towards realising that vision. A vision where all voices are included and where the principles of Te Tiriti o Waitangi are honoured in our local governance. As councillors, you have a significant opportunity today to reaffirm this partnership, to show that the well-being of the entire community is your priority, and to continue building a future where Māori and non-Māori walk side by side in the spirit of kotahitanga. Let us move forward together with the strength of our tipuna guiding us and the promise of our mokopuna before us. I thank you all for your ongoing support and leadership and for your commitment to this journey. Nā tō raurau, nā tōku raurau, ka ora ai te hāpori o Ahuriri. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.
Thank you very much. And next, I'm conscious that Tanya Hopmans does have to duck away to another meeting soon, so I'll invite the Chair of Mangahararu Tangatu, Tanya Hopmans, to speak to us online here with us today. Welcome, Tanya.
Hi, tēnā koutou katoa.
Oh, we can't hear you.
Oh, can you hear me now if I shout?
Really? Yes, but no.
Can we just check that the volume's up at your end?
Yeah, we're just seeing what we can do at our end, Tanya.
Te pai.
If you keep oh, crikey, that was loud for me. If you keep talking, then we'll be able to judge if your volume's improving.
How is it now? Any better?
It's better, but still not great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Give it a go now.
How is it now?
Ka pai.
Okay, thank you. Ka tautoko hea ngā mihi kua mihia. I'm really honoured to be able to speak today, and thank you to our Mayor for allowing us the opportunity to do that. And I want to acknowledge also, as mentioned by Te Kaha Hawaikirangi, this auspicious day and the sad day with the funeral of Kingi Tuheitia Potatau Te Whero Te Tuatu, and also the hopeful day that it is with the coronation of his successor, his daughter, Queen Ngāwai Honoi Te Pō. So mixed feelings today for us all. But in that spirit of being aspirational and looking forward to our future, I really want to encourage our councillors at Napier City Council to continue in the theme of a few years ago when you decided to support the establishment of Māori wards. And Te Kā has done a great job of explaining how important that is to us as tangata whenua in this area. In the historical context of the 1851 Ahuriri Purchase, was not about a purchase, was about coming together as people for a shared future of prosperity for everybody. And to be able to realise that, we need to be at this table. As mana whenua, we need to be at this table sharing with you the important decisions for our mokopuna. So my comments are really brief today, just to strongly encourage our councillors to continue to support Māori wards, to continue to support Māori being at the table, and to keep working on our partnership together for all of our mokopuna. And the two words are rere ngātahi. Let's keep working together in unity. Nā tātou katoa.
Kia ora. And last but certainly not least, we have Matt Mullaney and Horereti from Te Tai Whenua o Te Whanganui a Arutu. Welcome to you both.
A tēnā tātou. Ke tauturangi Māori e kia tātou e pai nei. Tuetahi ke tukuna tu rā te reo whakamoimiti ki mui e ihoa. Mōna mana ki tanga uwhi mai rā ki runga kia tātou. No muri mai rā no te wā o ngā mātua tipuna. Taitonu mai ki tēnei haora. E mihi ana ki a koutou. E te kaunihera, te kahika. Mai mātou nei, ngā karangaranga marae o te whanganui a rotu. E whakamānua tia nei ra koutou. O koutou mana, o koutou kaha, ki te tautoko hia tēnei, ko papa nunui, kai mui te aroaro. No rere tika ana, ka tautoko hia nā mihi, ko mihia ki tō tātou nei kingi. Ia, e kōkiri tia nei rā ngā wai o Waikato i tēnei wā tonu. Ki te pākoi o ona mātua, o ona tūpuna, o ngā ariki o mua. Kātira, kāra mai rā he te kura, ki roto i tōna tamāhine, a ngā wai hono i te pō. E kuini Māori, e kōkiri tia nei rā ona tūmanako, ngā tūmanako o te ao Māori, te iwi Māori. Nō rere i tēnei rā, ka tūmanako hia nei, ka whakai ana e tātou. Ka noho ngātahi ai tātou i raro te whakaaroko tahi, ka piri atu rā ki ngā kōrero, tā tānia mā, tā te kaha mā, kia noho ngātahi ai rā tātou katoa, i raro, i te kotahitanga. Anō rera kāri tuku muraraki ni nā kōrero, ka waiho atu ngā kōrero o tōku tumu whakarai kia whakatakoto ia ki mui tōko tēnei aroro. Ngā whakaaro te tai whenua nei i ruti te reo rua. Nō rera tēnā koutou huri noa. Tātou katoa, e kōkiri tia e hāpai tia nei rā, nā huatanga hākui hākoro mā koutou, ngā karangaranga marae, hapu, iwi, tēnā koutou, huri noa te whare, tēnā tātou katoa.
Hoi anō tēnā tātou, hori nau te mihi whakatūwhira i tēnei hui no reira i mihi ana ki a koe. E aku nui, e aku rahi, tēnā koutou katoa. Ki a koe te kingi, tūhei tia potatau te wherowhero, te tuawhitu o ki atu rā, moi mai rā, moi mai rā. Tātou ki te ngora, tihei te kuini, ngā wai hono i te pō. Kia koe te kāhika, Kirsten, koutou ki ngā kai kaunihira, o ahuriri nei, e mihi kauana kia koutou. Kua tai te wā, ko tēnei te wā nui, ki te whakau i te wāri Māori, o ahuriri. Nō reira, he mihi aroha kia koutou, hei whakamana i ngā tāngata whenua o ahuriri, nō reira, e mihi kauana kia koutou. O tira ki ngā whānau whānui, o ahuriri, nō mātou te hōnore, ki te tautoko i tēnei kaupapa whakahirahira, ko tēnei te wā o te mana motuhake ki tā tātou nei iwi. E whai whakaro ana tātou ki ngā moimoia o tātou tīpuna, mātua tīpuna, ko te kotahitanga, te huarahi mā tātou. Hori noa i tō tātou nei whare a tāhua, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Ko wai au, ko met malaini tōku ngā no ngā hapu toko whitu, o ahuriri ko au te tumu whakarai o te tai whenua o te whanganui aorotu. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge a momentous occasion in the crowning of the new Māori monarch, Kuini ngā wai hono i te pō. Mauri ora ki te Kuini. To the Mayor, thank you for your little message on Facebook to attend and speak at this important hui. On behalf of Te Tai Whenua Te Whanganui Aorotu, thank you for your leadership on this issue and for showing our community that when we are united, nothing can stop us. To the councillors, Cousin Chad, Sally, Max, koutou mā, thank you for the opportunity to attend and to have a kōrero with you today in relation to this important decision to establish Māori wards. Through this decision, you are enabling effective democracy, government that involves all of the people. We're grateful for your courage and for building the type of community that is inclusive and unifying. In relation to having this vote imposed on you by central government, we share your frustration, given the fact that no other ward, no other geographical ward, has provision for a binding poll available. In relation to the poll and with your decision today, the hard work will hopefully begin to engage with our community and to share the kōrero about the benefits of Māori wards to the council's decision-making for our whole community. In 1868, my tipuna and Chad's tipuna, Tāreha Te Moana Nui, in his first speech by a member of the Tangata Whenua in the New Zealand Parliament, said that Māori and other New Zealanders were similar but not the same. We recognise there are different ways to group and to participate as citizens. Thank you for hopefully recognising and enabling that. As mana whenua, we stand shoulder to shoulder, prepared to support you in this mahi. Koutou mā, e mihi kauana kia koutou. To our whānau that are gathered here today, I know Uncle Api's been practising his best waiata. Thank you for lending your mana to this occasion today. Your presence is an important signal to Council that you tautoko this kaupapa now and that your voice is critical to the future of our local democracy. Nō reira, tēnei te mihi atu kia koutou. The establishment of Māori wards is seen as not only adding value to our local community, but throughout the motu, we have seen numerous councils vote to reaffirm their earlier decisions. Around the country, communities have expressed their enthusiasm for a new way forward, a way that binds us in kotahitanga for a more inclusive and unifying future. Reflecting on the legacy of Kiingi Tuheitia, the theme of 2024 around the motu is kotahitanga. We have seen the power of kotahitanga at various hui around the motu, In Kingi Tuheitia's speech in January, he urged our nation to build a way of life together, inclusive of all New Zealanders, Māori and non-Māori, tangata tiriti. We also saw kotahitanga in action in our own rohe during the Huia Motu held at Omahu Marae, which many of our whānau and tangata tiriti participated in. I believe this kotahitanga movement has steeled a resolve to bring together all peoples, despite our differences, that will contribute wisdom and guidance to the conversation about Māori wards in our community. The people of Napier will benefit from the establishment of Māori wards. The wards promote a way to grow relationships, Māori culture and language, which, as we are all witnessing in this moment, is strengthening the vitality and the success of our community and our nation. Through the establishment of Māori wards, it will have benefit in terms of robust governance outcomes for us all. Amidst the new coronation for Kuini Ngā Waihono i te pō, it is with great hope that we journey through this important conversation about Māori wards together. To close and I tautoko the sentiments of my cousin Te Kaha and my whanaunga Tania Hopmans and what they've shared with you today. To close my kōrero, I offer the last words from our late Kingi Tuheitia Potatau Te Whirowhiro Te Tuawhitu. Let's keep pushing forward while we are currently facing a storm. There's no need to worry. In this storm, we are stronger together. The wind in our sails is kotahitanga, and with that, we will reach our destination. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.
Tēnā koutou. Thank you. And before we move into the more formal part of the meeting, I would also like to take the opportunity on behalf of the officers and elected members of Napier City Council to acknowledge the passing of Kingi Tuheitia. The Kingi was a humble and compassionate leader who did so much to raise the mana of Te Ao Māori and build strong relationships for the benefit of Aotearoa New Zealand. It is with the deepest condolences we pay homage to him. We mourn his passing and send our thoughts to his whānau and to all of those who hold him in their hearts. And then also, of course, acknowledging the new monarch, Ngā Waihono o te pō, and welcoming her to her new role and responsibilities, and looking forward to meeting her and walking alongside her in the future. We'll just ask if there's any announcements by management. No. We have confirmation of the minutes of the ordinary meeting of council held on Thursday, the 15th of August. If I could have a mover, thank you, Deputy Mayor Brosnan, seconded by Councillor Gregg. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against, carried. Now, we do just have one very quick procedural paper. replacement of elected member representative on the Creative Communities Committee. And Anna is just going to very briefly talk to the paper.
Kia ora koutou. The purpose of this report is to seek that councils approves to appoint a new elected member to the Napier Creative Community Scheme Assessment Committee following the resignation of the current appointee. I'll take the paper as read and happy to answer questions.
Thank you very much, Anna. Councillor Taylor.
Yes, I'd like to move the officer's recommendation.
Seconded by Councillor Mawson. I did just want to take a moment to thank Councillor Bogue, who has been the representative on this committee, and just acknowledge that due to some other commitments she has had to resign, and say a very heartfelt thank you to Councillor Simpson to agreeing to step up and take her place. So does our mover or seconder wish to speak to this at all?
As I was the one who threw his name in the hat when he was absent.
That's what happens when you don't turn up to a meeting.
But I did realise that he had a real interest in this particular.
Absolutely. Councillor Mawson?
Able to utilise this creative streak.
Okay. Councillor Simpson?
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor, I'd just like to thank the turnout for this decision. I think having this level of engagement this early in the process, I'm looking forward to this appointment.
Excellent. Well, if there's no further speakers, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against, carried. So now moving on to our next agenda item, Māori Wards Amendment Legislation, Community Engagement Considerations. And I welcome Anna, who's still there, Jane, Virgil and Morihu, who are going to be presenting the paper to us. Welcome to you all.
Thank you very much. This report is before you to inform a decision on whether to proceed with establishing Māori wards at the 2025 local government election in Napier, and to present the results of our community consultation. And I did want to thank the members of the community that have participated in the consultation. We had an overwhelmingly awesome response in terms of numbers of submissions, so thank you very much for that. I'd like to invite Dr. Virgil Troy to talk us through the results of the community feedback.
Thank you, Anna. Kia ora, everyone. My name's Virgil Troy. I'm from Cell Research, and I'm here to present the findings of the submissions to the Māori Wards Amendment Legislation 2024. So what I've done is I put together what I hope is a simple presentation of the top-level results, after which we can refer to the full report in itself. But I've done this in a way in which I hope that it makes it clear how we've undertaken this particular piece of work and what the findings were. So the purpose of this research was to assist Napier City Council with its decision to continue with the introduction of Māori wards in 2025 local elections. So in July 2024, the government introduction Māori Wards Amendment legislation reinstating the requirement for a binding poll to be held to establish Māori wards. This followed Napier City Council's 2021 decision to introduce Māori wards for the 2025 local elections. That was after a 5-month consultation with residents. Because of the Council's 2021 decision, a decision was made without a poll, my apologies, in line with the law at the time. The Council must decide by the 6th of December 2024 whether to continue with introducing Māori wards now and hold a poll in 2025, or to quash the Council's 2021 decision now and not to introduce Māori wards in 2025. So, Council hosted the consultation survey on their Say It Napier online platform. That was between the 9th and the 27th of August 2024. Cell Research was commissioned to conduct analysis of the community feedback. So given the open public consultation nature of this research, which is essentially a non-proportional self-selecting sample of community members without any stratified targeting of subsamples across Napier, results are primarily presented as raw findings without any statistical weighting by demographic factors. So as such, the unweighted findings presented in this report are a true and correct record of the raw responses provided in submissions.
So just to provide some context, and recognising the strong interest in this consultation, particularly within Napier, additional analysis was conducted on the Māori ward approval question for comparative purposes. We used statistical weighting by ethnicity, Māori versus non-Māori, and all of those over the age of 18. So as such, the report that we presented has results presented in 3 different ways. The first one is all submissions, and all of the analysis is undertaken based on all of the submissions, less 18 which were duplicates. Then Napier submissions, and I'll discuss and talk to that shortly, and then Napier submissions which are weighted. So the first result that we present is based on all submissions, and once again the report analysis is based on all submissions, which excludes 18 duplicates. So we ended up with 2,306, and taking away these 18 duplicates, there were 2,288 submissions. So all of these are unweighted, they're raw, they're basically including people that made submissions from outside the area, people under the age for voting, and whether or not ethnicity was stated or not stated. So it includes everyone. And the result from this analysis was that 60% of submissions were in favour of the establishment of Māori wards. So then what we did was we created another sample based on this, which was purely of Napier-based submissions. So if we look at the total, we started off with 2,306, took out the 18 duplicates, and that's what we based our analysis on. We then looked at those submissions that were made just of people that we could identify were from Napier. In other words, they provided a Napier address. So of that 394, 17% of all of the submissions were removed from the sample. 4 additional ones were removed because there was no address, and that left us with 1,890 submissions. We wanted to get an indication of what the voting age population had to say. So those under the age of 17 were removed. Also those that didn't state their age, they were also removed. So that resulted in another 68 being removed. Then we looked at those that did not state ethnicity, because we wanted to provide a comparison between those identifying as Māori and those not identifying as Māori. So 65 were removed. So the analysis that we undertook for Napier 18 plus voting age submissions was based on 1,758 responses. So when we analysed that, we found that the support for Māori wards was 56%. So that was based on all of those that would have the ability to vote in a poll. So the next thing I'll just quickly discuss is the weighting of results. In terms of council decision making, having enough informed, unbiased data is crucial to ensure decisions are made fairly and reflect the views of the community. When some groups are over or underrepresented in the data, the council risks making decisions that may not align with the actual preferences or the needs of the broader community. So weighting helps correct this imbalance. Statistical weighting in market research is a method used to ensure that the results more accurately represent the population being studied, particularly when certain groups are either over or underrepresented in the data collected. So in this case, submissions from Napier were adjusted to better reflect the actual distribution of age and ethnicity within the population. So why was weighting used? Well, in Napier, there were some significant differences in the number of responses received from Māori and non-Māori groups, as well as among different age groups. Specifically, Māori were more represented in the submissions than in the actual population. As you can see, it's been highlighted in red. The actual population 18 plus as of the 2023 census is 21.7%, but the percentage of submissions from Māori actually came out at 31.7%. Also, among non-Māori, those aged over 65 and older were overrepresented, while those aged 18 to 44 were underrepresented. So what we did there was we applied weighting so that we could balance that out. And the weighting adjusted the data so that proportions of Māori and non-Māori, as well as age groups within non-Māori, matched the actual proportions of the Napier population according to the 2023 census data. So this adjustment ensures that the results are more reflective of the true population structure in Napier. And after applying these criteria, the analysis was conducted again on the 1,757 responses from Napier, which provided a weighted reflection of the community's views. So when we compare all three of all submissions, those outside of Napier, everyone thrown in the mix, it was 60%. Of those that we could identify were in Napier and provided us with some demographic data so we could apply weightings, it was 56%. And then the Napier weighted submissions came out at 54%. But again, just want to reiterate, all of the analysis in the report in detail was based on all of the submissions less the 18 that were taken out as a result of being duplicates. So in summary, councils rely on submissions and surveys to understand public opinion on various matters, and if data is skewed, certain groups are overrepresented, it may lead to biased decisions that disproportionately favour those groups. Weighting ensures that the data better reflects the true makeup of the population, giving the council a clearer picture of what different groups may actually think.
Thank you very much, Virgil. Any further comments before I open up for questions? Okay, so open up to elected members for any questions that you may have. Thank you, Virgil, for that explanation of the weightings, because that was something that I know I struggled to get my head around. And I would just like to note, as I'm sure everybody in the room noted, it was still in support.
Yes,
under
absolutely.
all three scenarios.
Absolutely.
So no confusion there.
No.
So thank you for that. Right, any questions from councillors? Councillor Bogue.
Through you, Madam Chair. Virgil, what was the proportion of Māori respondents who were in favour of Māori wards?
About 99%. In fact, I can tell you exactly what it was. By ethnicity. Here we go. So for those on the Māori poll, it was 98%. Across all of the sample, and then it was 97% across the Napier-only sample, and in the weighted sample it was 97%. So it's pretty much the same across the board. It also similar results for those that were Māori but that weren't enrolled, and Māori that were on the general roll, still 80% plus in support.
Thank you. Councillor Price.
Just a general question. When you conduct surveys, is there a limited number of people you like or is accepted in the rules that makes a sort of a value?
So as a bare minimum, I mean, obviously the more the better, but as a bare minimum, we normally run with samples of between 400, 600 to 800, depending on the topic and depending on how controversial the topic is. So that normally lets us provide our results with a 95% confidence level, plus or minus 4 to 5%. So in this instance, based on these numbers, I think the margin of error is like 2 to 3%. So it's shorter because it's a much larger sample.
Thank you.
Councillor Bogue.
Through you, Madam Mayor. Another question, there was both paper submissions and online, and I'm wondering what the breakdown was in terms of how many paper submissions versus how many online.
I didn't actually count the paper submissions, but we had quite a number of them. The reasoning for that is we received them in as within the consultation period, and we entered them into the online system, so they would go to Cell Research for analysis. Certainly, the majority were online. Yeah.
Any further questions? Councillor Simpson.
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair. During the consultation process, a number of residents emailed submissions to council. They were using a template format, but nonetheless, they made submissions on the final day of our submission process. Were any of those submissions included in the statistical data?
Through the chair, they weren't included in the Cell Research process. They are listed in amongst the submissions in the document that we were, about 35, I think, were passed on to myself. The issue was that the emails came into the councillor inboxes, but I didn't get the true number until after the period had closed. So they had arrived in council prior to it closing, but hadn't got fully to the governance team before the close off.
And I think from memory, as you say, it was only 35 or 40, and we had 49 paper submissions in support that were also not counted. So I think that they essentially cancel each other out.
That's right. We had some paper submissions that were handed into customer services right up till the end of that last day. So they didn't get to us in time to be part of the SIL research analysis, but it was kind of an even spread of yes and no's, so they wouldn't have changed the outcome.
And if I could ask further through you, Madam Mayor, and I accept it's difficult when you've got multimedia and, things aren't going to the same channel. What time did the submission close?
5 p.m. on the 22nd.
Yeah, so on that day, by 5 p.m. on the 27th, there were 36 emails received in the councillors' inboxes, and by midnight of that day, there were 69 in
Right.
total, and since then, a total of 107 of those submissions have come through my in-tray. So I don't know about the others, but I'm assuming they went to everybody. So it's just a shame, and unfortunate that they can't be included in the statistical figures.
I think it's unfortunate, Councillor Simpson, that they didn't actually make a submission via the appropriate process, which we widely communicated to the community. Any further questions? Moving into general discussion, I did want to share that we have had some recommendations come through to us from Ngā Manuka o Te Iwi, which I would like to share with you for consideration as part of our deliberations today. So in our meeting with Ngā Manuka o Te Iwi last week, they recommended that Napier City Council resolves to retain their 2021 resolution to establish Māori wards for Napier in 2025. They supported Napier City Council in continuing to advocate in support of Māori representation in opposition to the current coalition government's stance. Additionally, they support the Council's ongoing advocacy for Māori representation, and collectively in partnership, they recommended we participate in a local government petition to the Crown seeking equal treatment of Māori and not requiring binding polls as a prerequisite for Māori representation in local government. In light of these recommendations, which will be coming to us for formal ratification at our 26th of September council meeting, however, I would also like to consider the inclusion of parts of these in today's resolution. So I have drafted up some additional points to what you currently have in the officer's recommendation. And I will actually ask Carolyn if she could share that on the screen for us. You can't fit it all in? Okay.
Can you make it a little bit bigger?
Yeah, I can't read that from here.
I can't read that one either.
I'm just trying to find what I actually sent. It's better. Okay. And so points A and B are what's in your papers. C is that we accept the Ngā Manuka o Te Iwi recommendation to retain the 2021 resolution to establish Māori wards for Napier for the 2025 elections. Part D is that we note the Ngā Manuka o Te Iwi recommendation supporting Napier City Council continue to advocate in support of Māori representation, including participating in a local government petition seeking equal treatment for Māori and not requiring a binding poll as a prerequisite for guaranteed Māori representation in local government. And then there was also F, which is an addition, directs the Chief Executive to work with Local Government New Zealand and other councils seeking similar outcomes. And the remainder of those recommendations are as what is included in your papers. I will open up for general discussion, or if there are any further questions with regards to the foreshadowing of those additional amendments that I have put in there, as I will be also foreshadowing, I'll be the mover of the resolution. Councillor
Yes,
Bowe.
Madam Mayor. I think it's important that we put those recommendations in. They weren't available when the agenda went out to us because the meeting for Ngā Mānukunuka o Te Iwi, which is our Māori Advisory Committee, wasn't until that day. So I think it's very appropriate. They are our advisors. They would like us to consider these. So I'm glad you've put those in, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Taraha.
Kia ora, thank you, Your Worship. I'm just happy to second that.
Very good, thank you. I will just open for any further discussion before we talk to the motion in front of us. Okay, thank you. So I am moving from the chair, seconded by Councillor Tariha. And I have been reflecting a lot on this in recent weeks. So Māori wards are divisive and racist. So goes the refrain that I have heard in the time that I have been the mayor of Ahuriri, and I completely disagree. In 2021, there were a number of reasons why Napier City Council decided that Māori wards were the best way forward for Napier. And we have actually included in our resolution today all of those reasons that we made the decision in 2021. Since 1977, Napier has had 193 councillors. 3 have been Māori. Yet Māori make up 24% of Napier's population. The number of Māori candidates has been proportionately low over this time. How did those candidates do in elections? The results speak for themselves. 1.6% of all councillors since 1977 have been Māori. Back in 2021, when council was making its decision, many people made submissions against introducing Māori wards. Yet 95% of those on the Māori roll submitted in favour. Everyone who took the time to speak with us in person at the consultation hearings spoke in favour of Māori wards. The most affected people, the people who would use this, are the people that voted for it. It is important to understand, first, that consultation is not a poll, and second, the content of the submissions is equally, if not more, important than the volume for or against. In 2021, those with skin in the game spoke passionately about how Māori wards would help our community. We heard repeatedly that Māori wards would be good for Māori. My view is that whatever is good for Māori is good for everyone. Māori wards create a platform to build Māori capacity and leadership. Over time, generations of Napier's tangata whenua will benefit from their local government experience. These councillors may choose to move into leadership and other roles of influence in Ahuriri and beyond. They could become leaders in business, non-governmental organisations, or even move to the national political level. This investment in our Māori community will accelerate and broaden Napier's socio-economic capacity. It can only be a good thing for everyone. Māori wards will bring a stronger bicultural perspective to our planning and decision making. This upholds the principles of Te Tiriti o Waitangi as Aotearoa, New Zealand's founding document. I believe Māori wards show our commitment to true partnership. It adds power and mana to the council and creates new forms of Māori representation, rather than replacing any that exist already. As to the comments about gosh, that's a terrible word. You know what I mean. And racism. Candidates for Māori wards don't need to be Māori. These wards operate under the principle of one person, one vote. Māori wards afford no disproportionate voting power compared to people voting in general wards. And furthermore, regardless of which ward a councillor represents, we all make the same declaration to act in the best interests of the whole of Ahuriri Napier. A resident can ask any councillor for help and is not limited to their own ward councillors. During our recent consultation, our community has told us what it thinks of our 2021 decision, loud and clear, and has supported us to reaffirm our decision to establish Māori wards. Should we be successful when put to the vote, today will be a time to celebrate Māori wards in Ahuriri for the 2025 elections. However, we must also look beyond this and consider the binding poll which we are being forced to hold alongside the 2025 elections. I do not believe polls are the best pathway for our decision-making on this matter. Polls are won based on a majority vote. Given that Māori are a minority, yet the most affected by this decision, a poll is hardly a fair and equitable form of decision-making for this matter. It is not democracy. The statistics speak for themselves. Health, life expectancy, education, employment, standards of living, cultural identity, social cohesiveness. These are just a few of the measures that show our current system of democracy is not working for Māori. We need to do better. Representation is at the very core of local government. I firmly believe Māori wards are one of the tools at our disposal to improve outcomes for not only Māori, but all of our community. I say it again, what is good for Māori is good for everyone. I thank everybody who has shared their views with us on this over the recent weeks. And I am thrilled to be speaking in favour of the resolutions in front of us today to reaffirm our decision to establish Māori wards. Thank you. Councillor Tarihau, I invite you as the seconder to speak.
Kia ora, I think you said it all. Huri noa, tēnā tātou katoa. Ngā mihi o te ahiahi kia tātou. Ko hui mai ki te tautoko o tēnei kaupapa. Ka hoki o ke whakaaro ki te wā I hari atu tōku matua tīpuna o one o roto o taupo nui ātia. I reira I moe I a hāmeme. No te warahui, ka puta mai ko Tāriha te moana nui. Ka moe a Tāriha te moana nui I a harata te apatari no kihi tū. Ka puta mai ko ngā whakakapinga o te rangi Tāriha. Ko kapi Tāriha rānei tētahi o nei ingoa. Ka moe a kapi Tāriha I a Paranihi a Pānapana o Roa Hāpia. Ka tahi rā ka puta mai ko Dan Te Roira Tāriha. Ka moe a Dan Te Roira Tāriha I a Winipere Rawhi Pō no te Wairo Hō Pūpū Hō Ningi Mātangi Rau. Ka puta mai ko tōku matua ko Tai Tāriha tōna ingoa. Tērā te pō, nau mai te ao, huri noa tēnā tātou katoa. Firstly, thank you, through you, Your Worship. I'd just like to thank you for your courage, for putting your neck on the line and all the hits you've taken. Yeah. Tēnei te mihi nui atu kia koe te kāhika. Yeah. So, yeah, I stand here today, or sit here today, not to express my personal view, but to represent the voices of the people who elected me. I'll be honest, for those who know me, no, I haven't always supported this kaupapa. But it's not about my individual stance. My role on this council is to reflect and respect the diverse views of our community. Māori awards are a step towards giving our whānau Māori a stronger voice in the local decision-making processes. It's about ensuring that the unique perspectives, concerns and aspirations of tangata whenua are heard and respected at this table. Regardless of where we stand individually, we need to ask, how can we better reflect the values of inclusion and partnership that this council is meant to and does a pretty good job at upholding. Our role is to serve, and sometimes that means stepping back from our own views to advance what's right for the collective. And to be honest, I've had to do that a few times. But yeah, I'm happy to second this officer, the recommendations in front of us today. I'd like to mihi to our whānau, to my whānau who spoke in public forum. Tēnei te mihi nui atu kia koutou. Huri noa, huri noa. Tēnā koutou te rā. Kia ora mai tātou katoa.
Kia ora, Councillor Tariha. Now, I will be revoking Standing Order 21.6 today to allow anybody who would like to speak on this to speak. So just opening up for Councillor Crystal.
So a deal was made in Waitangi in 1840. That deal involved Māori having a seat at the table, representing their communities and having a voice. Māori representation in council will benefit all of us. It will help us make better decisions that serve more of our city. It guarantees a voice for the community that need it the most. Some argue Māori can just stand in any of our wards, which they can, but we have only had 3 Māori councillors in the history of Napier since 1875. So that argument holds less water than a Wellington pipe. I voted for Māori wards in Napier in 2021 after extensive consultation and listening to over 40 submissions for Māori wards, because I felt it was the right thing to do for Napier, and I'm still of that opinion. And so are 54 to 60%, going on whichever chart you take, of our community. I'm a woman that keeps her word. I think keeping our word to the Māori people of Napier is a matter of pride and mana for us as a council. I support the resolutions to establish Māori wards in 2025.
Councillor Crown.
Kia ora, Madam Mayor. Please bear with me, whānau, I've got a bit to say. I ngā mana, i ngā reo, i ngā iwi e pai nei, tēnā koutou katoa. Taku arara nā tūrongo i wawai atu ki te tairawhiti ko Wahinārangi. He ara tautika mai ki a hau e tū nei i te mataua Māui. Ka re aku tāringa, ka angāku kānohi ki taku maunga tapu o taupiri. E tū nei i te tahatika o ngā wai o taku awa tūpuna o Waikato. He piko he taniwha, he piko he rangatira. Papa ana te whatitiri, hiko hiko tū ana te wira i te rangi. Ko te tuhunui o mate, he aitua, he aitua. Kua hinga te kingi Māori, a kingi tū heitia, pōtātou te whirowhiro, te tuawhitu. Ka heke aku roimata, he tangi apakura ki taku ariki. Kua whakamoea ki te moenga e ki nei, te uringa, te taka, te moenga, te whakaārihia. Ko ngā kōrero, e kōrero tia ana i te motu whānui. Ko koe te kingi te whakakotahi nei i te motu, ia Aotearoa whānui tonu. Kia noho tahi tātou i raro i te whakakotahitanga. Ko ngā ara i whakakaha ana i te ao Māori, he ara whakakaha anō hoki i a Aotearoa whānui tonu i roto i tēnei ao hurihuri. Nō reira, ka hoki au ki tō whakapono, ka tikina ati ngā kupu o te tāri ao hei karakia, hei porapora a ki mau. Rire, rire hau, pai marire. To the chiefs, the orators, the many peoples gathered here today, I greet you. It was Tūrongo who tread the path to the east to Mahinarangi, a direct line of descent to I here into Matawa Māui. My eyes listen as I turn my gaze to my sacred mountain Taupiri, which stands to the side of the flowing waters of Waikato, my ancestral river. At each bend a taniwha, at each bend a chief. The thunder claps as lightning flashes in the heavens. 'Tis the sign of death. It is death. It is death. The Māori king, King Tūheitia, ko tātou te Whirowhiro VII has fallen. My tears flow and I wail in sorrow for my chief. He whom has been put to rest. The rest proverbialised by my people as the rest of eternity for which there will be no rise. The words of tribute spoken to him by the nation. He is the king that unites the nation, Aotearoa New Zealand, that we may be together as one nation in unity. The paths that strengthen the Māori people are the paths that also empower and propels the nation forward in this modern world. And therefore, I'd return to your religion. I gather and recite the words of Tāre Ao as a prayer to farewell you. Rire, rire hau, pai marire. The recognition of those across the nation and beyond over the past week, delivered on screen, online, and most importantly, on the Ātea of Tūranga Waiwai Marae in honour of Kingi Tūheitia, hold much relevance for today's kaupapa, and it is appropriate that I mihi to him and acknowledge him as he is laid to rest today on Taupiri. In both Te Reo Māori and English, comments made by many, including our Prime Minister, focus on the theme of kotahitanga, unity. Kingi Tūheitia's example of leadership and his commitment to unity, I'm sure, will remain integral to his ongoing legacy. And with a consultation result of 60% of all respondents and 54%, thanks Virgil, weighted response from Napier in favour of us reaffirming our decision, it would be easy to hang my position purely on this outcome. However, this issue is not black and white. It is nuanced and deserves critical consideration and thoughtful discourse. And I appreciate the opportunity to share my thinking and rationale for the position I take. I'm the humble creation of a Pākehā mother and a Māori father, privileged to be grounded in the identity of two worlds with the potential to be powerfully complementary. However, the experience of sitting in spaces such as this has shown that the wisdom of only one of those worlds is guaranteed each and every time. And as a governor committed to making good decisions that benefit all of my community now and into the future, disadvantaging my community by not guaranteeing the strengths and perspectives of Te Ao Māori to be included in the considerations of our decisions is, to me, poor governance. Why would we knowingly choose to exclude a knowledge set that we have all seen help deliver better outcomes for our community and the opportunity for the innovative solutions referenced by TK? Māori wards give us in local government a way to meaningfully acknowledge Te Tiriti o Waitangi and the agreement between the Crown and its subjects and tangata whenua, the rights and responsibilities that are shared through the partnership of our constitutional founding document that challenges us all. It is sad to see it continuing to be used as an inflammatory vice. In this instance, because three guys got in a room with each other with a laundry list of wants and days later emerged having made the decision, amongst others, to continue to marginalise tangata whenua and ignore the scores of national and international academic and legislative precedents available to us that could act as guide rails for a responsible conversation toward a better collective understanding of this document. Te Tiriti is a taonga for all New Zealanders and it should be treated as so. With the Local Government Act requiring us to provide opportunities for Māori to participate in our democracy, build capability and contribute to decision making, Māori wards offer a tangible tool to see an increase in all of those areas. The statistics show that Māori do not participate in our systems of local government to the same level as non-Māori. This is not an additional bite at the apple. This is an alternative way for us to ensure the system meets the needs and aspirations of our community. And Māori wards are a practical way for us to try and create equity in a system that was not designed to deliver such. Māori ward councillors follow the same path as any other councillor. No voters are being advantaged and no vote is weighted more than any other, whether it's in a Māori ward or a general ward. Māori ward councillors are not appointed members and they would take an oath to serve all residents in our city, as the Mayor said. There is no unfairness, privilege or special treatment. No one's existing rights are being compromised, just as no one's existing rights are being elevated above anyone else's. Views to the contrary are not facts, and it is sad and dangerous to perpetuate them. Māori wards don't shut anyone out or cause anyone to lose anything. Instead, they welcome others in on equal footing. For those against them, this is an opportunity to reframe how you choose to see and understand them. Respectfully, I want to thank everyone who submitted. Personally, it was a real roller coaster ride, reading through the submissions, very reminiscent of 3 years ago, and I want to thank our staff as well for managing that process. I think that this topic brings unnecessary unease to our community, pushing people apart in ideological deficit thinking. Unfortunately, I think the division is happening in our own heads sometimes, as opposing views isolate themselves from each other in echo chambers. Let's not forget how to disagree with grace and maturity, remembering that there is room in the waka for all of us to come together. As our Prime Minister said at Tūranga Waiwai, quoting Kingi Tuheitia, growing together is crucial. Ironically, the strongest or most frequently occurring argument against Māori wards is unity. The notion that Māori wards cause division and are stopping us from being one people. Unity does not mean that we all have to be the same as each other or homogenised. Unity provides an opportunity for us to act in ways that see us all rise together in the fullness of all of our identities. As individuals, we get to decide if we want to be unified. It is in each of our control. Unity is an attitude, a choice, a commitment to the collective, regardless of if they look like me, sound like me, or think like me. And I understand that for many Māori wards challenges the way that we think about unity, but they also give us the chance to forge a path that is uniquely ours as New Zealanders, together under that umbrella, demonstrating partnership, respect, and unity. Kia ora.
Kia ora. Any further speakers? Deputy Mayor Brosnan and then Councillor Bogue.
Kia ora, Mayor Wise, and tēnā koe to all of our whanaunga who are here today. I tautuku the speakers so far who support this kaupapa very eloquently. I would like to share how I've developed my position on this. So Māori wards have been a journey for me. I live in a world that loves and respects and values our Māori culture, my colleagues, my friends, my community. So initially, I went into the 2021 Māori wards consultation concerned. I was concerned that Māori wards would limit Māori numbers of members to the number of wards, limit participation and limit Māori's progression into seats and leadership roles like the mayoralty. I was frustrated with the idea that I, as a non-Māori tangata tiriti, could then not support an amazing Māori candidate with my vote if they stood in a Māori seat. And I was frustrated with that idea. But similar to Councillor Tariha's reflection, I soon learned it wasn't about me. Submitters in 2021 made it clear the wards were supported by majority and that they meant a lot to mana whenua. And submitter Riti's answer to my question at the hearing still rings true to me today. After I asked that question, the answer was, after the history of Ahuriri, the guarantee of representation at this table was far outweighed by any of those potential negatives. So we are here today caught up in what I consider to be an unnecessary stirring of the pot, coupled with the irony of the Crown still valuing their nationwide Māori seats at Parliament. Perhaps it's easier to throw stones at local government when you are not face to face with those affected. Kānohi ki te kānohi. 2,288 submissions this time round have made it clear, again a majority, that our community supports the retention of Māori wards for ahuriri. And to those who would say 2,288 is not a representative sample or not a majority, to that I would say it is 100% representative of those that care enough about this issue to participate. So I value incredibly the contribution of our Māori elected members, and I've had the privilege of serving with all three of those that were mentioned, which just goes to show how recent those Māori elected members have become on council. And I value their contribution at this table. So for me, nothing has changed since 2021, just the requirement to reconfirm or reaffirm this vote. I'm proud to be supporting the recommendation, and thank you for the additions of the Ngā Nukunuka o Te Iwi resolutions. It upholds, as Councillor Crystal said, the mana of council and the commitment we have made as a council to all people of Ahuriri. Let's keep pushing forward in this storm together. Kia ora.
Councillor Bowe.
Tēnā koutou katoa, and thank you so much to all the people that submitted and those of you who've come here today. It's just wonderful to have you here with us. I'm speaking in full support of the resolutions in front of us and in support, of course, of the vote that we made in 2021 after considerable consultation, very similar to this. 3 years ago, we consulted in the same way and we heard similar statements from people of our city. And although numerically, in terms of numbers, more of them were against Māori wards than in favour, we had 2 full days of hearings when we were face to face with people who very passionately spoke to us about why they supported Māori wards and what it meant to them. They were tangata tiriti and tangata whenua, not just Māori. So I wanted to just look at a couple of comments that were made in the submissions that we got this time, because it's very reflective of the comments that we heard 3 years ago, and which I think summarise some of the reasons why people are very keen for us to stick with having Māori wards in 2025. So we all gain with Māori wards. It is a true path to partnership and shared sense of community. NCC, make us proud by honouring the treaty and showing our country's commitment to fairness and equity of representation in our community. It's enacting the Treaty of Waitangi and the promise of partnership. It brings Māori voice to the table when making important decisions. It offers diversity and brings a richness and different perspectives that can only benefit our beautiful Aotearoa and everyone living here. Māori wards enhance our democracy. They ensure a greater plurality of voices within local government. The Treaty of Waitangi is our founding document, and therefore we must work in partnership. Working together builds a stronger country that's harmonious and distinctive. And finally, Māori wards take nothing away from Pākehā. In fact, they do the opposite. They add value and strength to a council. They guarantee the Indigenous voice, which enriches and enhances the governing body. So in 2021, when we came to the vote, everybody voted in favour except one person abstained. And I appreciate that there are people out there, and possibly, in this room, who don't necessarily share my passion and support for Māori wards. And they have the right to do that. So I respect them for the views that they have. But for me, it's quite clear that this is the way we must go. There's been a lot of talk about kotahitanga, and certainly around the coronation and the demise of Kingi Tuheitia Pūtātou Te Wherowhero. Even the Prime Minister talked about kotahitanga when he was at Turanga Waiwai. So I looked it up on Google, and it said that kotahitanga is unity and solidarity, as we all know. But there was a very pertinent little sentence below, which I'd like to share with you, and it said, if you create winners and losers, you lose the spirit of kotahitanga. So kotahitanga is not about winners and losers. And this binding referendum that we are being forced to conduct next year, if this goes through, creates winners and losers, whoever wins or whoever loses. So Māori wards, which give a seat at the table for Māori, for our treaty partners, is, in my opinion, a win-win. And it is true kotahitanga. And another interesting quote that I heard, I think at the coronation of the King, was from Dame Jenny Shipley, who said, we value our differences, but we find a way together. And that is what we are doing here. We value our differences. We're not all the same. We have a contribution to make from our different worldviews. So I would like to speak just briefly in support of the additional clauses that were put in by Ngā Manukunuku o Te Iwi, because I think they're very important and I really appreciate the fact that we're considering them. These are along the same lines as the Hastings District Council, who unanimously supported their Māori wards decision last week. And there are other councils as well who have said the same. So the legislation requiring us to have a referendum, a binding referendum, is a huge overreach of central government reaching into the realm of local government. And our mayor, along with other mayors, sent a letter to that effect to the minister a few months ago, saying that, you know, forcing us to hold a referendum is is dividing our communities and exposing Māori to overt racism. Here in Napier, as we've said, 23% of our population approximately are Māori, but less than that are of voting age. So in terms of a binding referendum, unless we recruit a lot of non-Māori support, the cards are stacked against us and against Māori supporters. So other councils are similarly upset about what's happening, and in fact, as to date, I think the deadline is tomorrow for all councils that are considering or have instituted Māori wards to decide one way or the other if they will rescind or retain their Māori wards. I think out of 45 councils, I think only 2 have voted to rescind. So, and I would like to say that this morning the Central Hawke's Bay District voted to maintain their decision to introduce Māori wards in 2025. So hopefully, if we get the support at this table, it will be all councils here in Hawke's Bay, the Regional Council, Hastings District Council, Central Hawke's Bay, Wairoa, of course, and us, all wanting Māori wards in the 2025 election. So the clauses also that have been added by Ngā Manukunuku gives us the go-ahead to join with other councils, with the advice of our Chief Executive, to decide for ourselves and to make the point to our central government that we do not want to have to be forced into a binding referendum. So these suggestions, these resolutions have come from our Māori Consultative Committee, and it's incredibly important for us to listen to them, particularly since we don't have any Māori wards. For those people who say, oh, well, you don't need Māori wards because you've got a Māori Consultative Committee, well, in this case, listen to what they're saying. They strongly support us retaining Māori wards in the 2025 election and petitioning the government in whatever way we can to overturn their decision to force us into this referendum dilemma. So I very much value what the Mana Nukunuku o Te Iwi has added to our resolutions and as I say, strongly support it. It gives us a bit more teeth. It puts us in line with other councils such as the Hastings District Council and following through and working in solidarity with other councils around the Motu. So just going back to kotahitanga. What is kotahitanga? If you look at, we have tangata tiriti and tangata whenua, the two treaty partners. Kotahitanga is not tangata whenua being absorbed into tangata tiriti. It is not tangata tiriti being absorbed into tangata whenua. It is us standing side by side as unique, special, respected, collaborative treaty partners working together for the betterment of the communities we serve. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa.
Are there any further speakers? Councillor Brown.
Kia ora. Kia ora and welcome to our amazing community that are here with us today. I wholeheartedly support the discussion we've had to date and I'm not even going to try and be as eloquent around some of the points that have been raised today, but I totally support them. I was reflecting on potentially what I could add to this conversation and I think I'd like to share some empathy with those who don't necessarily hold my current worldview. So if I take you on my journey, as a Pākehā raised in Southland, my education in Te Reo Māori was limited to early primary school. I lived in a white world and I had little to no understanding of the value that another culture could bring to our lives or indeed the leadership of our community. And indeed, a large number of my family and close friends are still in that place. And I just want to acknowledge that if that is your worldview, it is extremely hard to see the value of people who are slightly different to you seeming to get different or special treatment. So I empathise that there are people in our community experiencing the fear of change and what this decision might bring for us. I suppose since leaving Invercargill 22 years ago, I've had the privilege of expanding that worldview. Through travel to other countries, learning and understanding more about Te Ao Māori when serving with Māori in our New Zealand Navy, moving here to Hawke's Bay where the Māori culture is what's the word, more prevalent than in Southland, and further education I've had since in this role, I cannot overstate the value that it has brought to my life, both personally and professionally. The more I learn about Te Ao Māori, the more I feel the similarities to my connection to my Scottish roots, the more I feel whole as a human, and the more I feel like a human being as opposed to a human doing. So I wholeheartedly encourage those in our community who are unsure of the value of having mana whenua at the table, if you are, like I was, unaware of the value that's open to us right here in our community, to open your hearts and your minds and to take, if not a leap of faith, maybe one small step to learning more about the beauty of the Māori culture and worldview. As a governor, every time we have mana whenua at the table, our conversation is more human, it's more holistic, it takes a longer term view, and it is better for all our community. It is better governance, it is better decision making. And I suppose to speak to the additions to our resolution today, whilst I can understand the sentiment of our government when they are saying that our democracy is important and that our community should decide, I cannot understand the solution that they have landed on. A referendum by its nature favours the majority and squashes the voices of the minority. A referendum is not a good way to enact social progress. And as the debate in Wanganui pointed out, imagine if the government at the time pushed for a referendum after the suffragette petition was put forward. So again, referencing all of the eloquent points that have been said today, I wholeheartedly support the motion and the amendments put forward today. Kia ora.
Councillor Price.
I'm a man of a few words, so it'll go pretty quickly, but it'll be factual. 3 years ago, I was part of the council that voted for Māori wards, and I feel that vote was a promise, and I haven't come along here to break a promise today. So that's it in a nutshell, and so you probably work out which way I'm voting. Thank you.
Councillor Simpson.
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair. The decision we make today will represent a challenge for us. There's nothing more that a local government desires than public participation. And I'm sorry for those of you online that can't hear me, but I'm trying to face the people that are live in the room with us and give them the respect that they have shown us. We have a challenge. For a millennia, people have tried to induce, divide and conquer. And sadly, this is a process we've been through lately, and it's a sad one. It saddens me for a number of reasons. It's put one people against another. It's diminished the value that over a decade Māori have represented on the council. We've had Māori sitting at this table for the last decade, and currently we have the equivalent of the referenda, the two-ward system equivalent sitting on council. So I hope that you've been seeing a demonstration of what a council with two Māori members represents for you and how that will work for you going forward. It would be easy to sit here and go with the flow, very easy. I have struggled with this for the last 3 years, trying to ascertain what is the best way to go forward. And the reality is the Napier electorate had demonstrated maturity around the selection and election of its candidates. For the last decade plus, as I say, we've had Māori representative generally elected to our council, and that's really something we should admire as a local body, that we had achieved that in the past. And we didn't need another paradigm to achieve that outcome because our electors were mature enough to see the value in having diversity around our table. And in fact, I'd probably love to have greater diversity. There are many cultures that aren't represented at this table that could contribute. The challenge for us, though, is what happens in 2025. If this council decides today to proceed with Māori wards, there is a high probability, based on the feedback I have received from residents, some believing that their view hasn't been shared, some believing their view has been ignored. The likelihood is, or there's a high probability, that a poll will turn the result over. And going into the 2028 and the 2032 election, we will not have Māori wards. So the challenge for us and for everyone in our community is to work very diligently, regardless of the process of election, to ensure that we do have strong partnership, that we are listening to each other and we are respecting each other's views. because that is the most important outcome. We've achieved significant involvement with you and with others who are less reluctant, or more reluctant, I should say, to be present. And I think the most important thing for us going forward is to ensure that we have effective democracy no matter who is sitting at this table, and that this table represents our whole community as well as it can, and that everybody in our community believes they are being represented regardless who is here. And it's difficult, I know, because this country has an unfortunate and shocking history of policy, law and decision-making in Wellington. And let's do it together. Exactly. So the challenge for us is to ensure that regardless of what happens at the 2025 election, we all maintain respect for each other and we build strong engagement, inclusiveness and respect for going forward. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Could I have a point of order, please, Madam Chair? Did Councillor Simpson speak for or against the resolution?
Councillor Simpson?
Effectively, I've spoken against.
Thank you.
Councillor Taylor?
Tēnā tātou katoa e tēnā iwi, kua tai mai nei ke tēnei whare ki te korero mō tēnei kaupapa. This council is often criticised for not listening when we engage and consult with the community. We have done this, and we did it in 2021 and made a decision. We've again consulted with our community, and statistically the majority wish to continue to have a Māori ward in 2025. And as Mr. Mullaney said, this is a great opportunity for Māori leaders to come to this table, to speak on behalf of their people and continue their growth in leadership. This discussion facilitates a referendum. The public will again have an opportunity to have a say. And as Councillor Simpson, although speaking against, I think, has indicated that we have to work together to make this work, and we need to convince the community by next year, by 2025 referendum, that this is the correct place that we sit and we work together for the future. Nō reira, tēnā koutou katoa.
Councillor Mawson and then Councillor Gregg. I mean, I think that's everyone. Councillor Mawson.
Thank you, through the chair. As my colleague Councillor Simpson said, it will be easier for me to sit here and just simply go with the flow. Hear me out. The introduction of Māori wards is a step that aims to enhance the representation of Māori in local governance, ensuring that their voices are heard in decisions that affect their communities. However, while this initiative is well-intentioned, the increase in Māori engagement has only been minor in the other parts of the country where Māori wards have been implemented. Take, for example, our own Napier City Council. We made changes to allow Māori representation on our committees, a move that was not both progressive and it was necessary. Yet, despite this, attendance has been very irregular, to say the least. And when members do not attend, their absences are not consistently recorded in their apologies. In other words, they just didn't turn up. This raises questions about the effectiveness of such measures, and the intended participants are not consistently engaging the process. Moreover, the fact that we are now being asked to revisit the vote that we made in 2021 to implement Māori wards is a direct result of the current coalition government's decisions. Now, in a nation's game, that's called a hospital pass. It is a situation that highlights the complexities and challenges involved in trying to enhance representation through legislative, not the only one getting the words wrong there, Mayor Weiss, means. Now, I acknowledge Māori have been a political football, and that's a damn shame. As a white European male in my late 40s, I recognise that this decision is not about me. I have a similar view to my colleague, Councillor Tariha. I needed to take a step back, and as Deputy Mayor Brosnan said, I needed to learn. Now, my perspective is shaped by my lived experience and the submissions we received from our community, but also from the relationships I've formed with many in this room, both Māori and non-Māori. Now, I can't help but notice and validate the concerns expressed by some of those who believe that we are one people, we should be treated as one. I understand where they're coming from, and it's important to acknowledge that Māori wards alone are not the solution for our democratic challenges. However, I don't have the answers. Now, in my day job, I'm a strength coach, and people come to me to get on top of their weight, fitness, and crush goals. The thing is, they can't do that unless they accept where they are now and look forward. New Zealand, or Aotearoa if you prefer, as a society, need to take a long, hard look at ourselves. When did we stop being human above all else? When did we start allowing division to dictate how we treat one another? Shame on us if we continue down this path without addressing the underlying issues that go beyond just representation. I've said many times since being elected in 2019, you can't please everyone. So I knew however I spoke today, either in favour or against, I would be either upsetting one group or the other. And I may very well be upsetting both groups today. However, I'm speaking from the heart. In conclusion, while Māori wards are a step towards greater inclusivity, is that word again, they are not the sole solution. True engagement and representation require a broader societal shift, which again, I don't know the answer to that. Only then can we hope to create a democracy that truly reflects the diversity and unity of our nation. It's not my place to comment on what Māori can or can't do. But if this passes today, I challenge you to be involved. Run for council and also vote. The Mayor and my colleagues have quoted the amount of Māori councillors that have earned the right to sit here. I'd like to know how many did run and didn't actually get elected. Get in there and do it. And as Tania Hopman said online, we, meaning Māori, need to be at this table. This is the democracy we have, let's roll with it. Now, similar to Councillor Price, I don't break promises, and even though it sounded like I was speaking against, I speak in favour today.
Councillor Gregg.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. Kia ora tātou. I'm speaking in support of the resolution. Although I wasn't on council in 2021 when the decision was made to include Māori wards, I believe this vote today is about honouring a promise. And what is good for Māori is good for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. If I could just ask Carolyn just to pop the resolution up on the screen. Now, I do have a right to reply, and there's a part of me that would love to actually reply to some of the comments that have been made, but I suspect everyone just wants us to vote. So that's what I'm going to do. We'll just get the resolution up on the screen so everybody has it in front of them. Sorry, Carolyn, I've got you under pressure.
No, I just can't see it.
Can't be offensive. There we go. Excellent. So just if anyone does want to quickly run their eyes over it one last time. Thank you, everybody, for your time today. Thank you for everybody choosing to speak and share your views. So that being the case, I will put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against?
Abstain.
Sorry?
Abstain?
Abstaining. Okay, councillor Simpson is abstaining. That being the case, the motion is carried. Thank
Wahona mai ki ngā haputa ka whetū, ki te iwi o ngā tika hungunua no hoki. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa e.
A sincere thank you once again to everyone that has taken time out of their day to be with us, to hear us deliberate and make this incredibly vital decision on behalf of our whole community. And feeling a bit emotional. So on that note, we will close our meeting with our closing karakia.
Just a note, my son just said it was very loud online.
Kia tau, te rangamare, ki runga i ngā iwi katoa, ki te ora, te kaha, te māmatanga, i ngā wā katoa, ti hei hei, mauri ora.